Welcome back. All right, so just before I get into this, because it's nationwide news, I think it's also being reported likely in the U.S. as well. So we have a floodplain not too far from where I live here, and I'm not on it. So what's happened is that there's a pump that basically keeps the Fraser River from funneling down some water that would bring a lake back into being. Sumas Lake, where the Sumas Prairie is, existed until 1921, and it was drained off. It was drained off for farmland. We have some of the most fertile farmland in North America here, in part because it's drained lake bottom. Absolutely fantastic. But this is that risk, right? So there's an evacuation order in place for anybody on that plain. That includes parts of eastern Abbotsford, as well as Yarrow, which is part of Chilliwack. Chilliwack has basically become an island. That is where I lived when the channel started out. That's where I worked. I know my former co-workers were sent home today. They only had 2 hours of work. They're not working tomorrow. They were told to come back on Thursday. I'm not sure that they'll be coming back on Thursday because you can't work at a meat processing plant when they can't bring the meat in and you can't get it out. So, yeah. It is a bad situation. Chilliwack's an island. There was a run on food and supplies at local stores there. I know there was a run on supplies and stuff here. The good thing is we went to Costco about a week ago and we stocked up on a bunch of stuff. We had no idea this was going to happen, of course, but it's lucky that we did that. So I'm okay. For anybody who's wondering, going, hey, that's Abbotsford. Is that, is THJ okay? We're okay. There's the possibility we may have our water shut off, so we've been collecting as much of that as we can, and so we're basically in a position where we're going to wait it out. I'm not taking any time off from making videos because there's nothing I can do. We don't have canoes. We can't go out and rescue people. We're not in a position to do that. So at this point, this is, I'm still going to be making videos. I'm still going to be talking about hockey every day, and it does give me a nice chance to escape all of that because it's alarming. I obviously still have friends and family in Chilliwack. I have friends who are affected by this here in Abbotsford as well. So, it is a tough time. All right. That being said, let's go ahead now and jump into the review. The Nashville Predators in against the Toronto Maple Leafs. This was a big game, and it felt like a big game. It was Saros versus Campbell, so both teams went with their top guys. Tomasino had a rush chance stop. The shots were 2-2 at 5 minutes. Good chess match early. The Leafs press at 5.5 minutes, and they end up getting themselves a power play, and they score on it. It's Matthews' power play goal from Nylander and Riley at 7:37, and then the Leafs try to add another. Sandin fires one wide. The Leafs would press. The Leafs get a power play. That's a no. McCarron then had a fight with Ritchie because why not? Solid first period for the Leafs, and for Nashville, you come out of that period thinking, hey, we're only down one on the road. Not too bad. Second period, Duchesne ends up hitting a post. The Preds get a power play. That was a no. Riley, rush chance for him, goes wide. There was some debate about whether or not a puck had gone in. Did it go in? The Leafs said yes. The music starts playing. The referee said yes. But it was on the line. Didn't actually go in. So, fans can boo, but if it doesn't go in, it's not a goal. Predators had a 3-on-2. Campbell makes the save there. Tavares had a shot saved as the Leafs press. The Leafs then get a power play. It's killed off. It generates one shot. There was a 2-on-1 for the Leafs. That misfired. But we go to the third period. Posts were working for Campbell in this game to that point. Borowiecki versus Simmons almost happens. But then Borowiecki, there was something, I think he got poked in the eye or something. So it doesn't happen. So we get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Predators with some pressure. Dermott with a clear there. The Leafs press with 7.5 minutes left. With 6:29 left, the Leafs get a power play. Ritchie had a tip shot that was saved. The Preds do kill it, but again, you're down to, two less minutes left in the game. And then Kampf scores from Kasha and Kerfoot at 16:04. So Kampf with the goal. Kasha stays hot with the assist. Makes it 2-0. So they pull the goalie with 2 minutes left. Duchesne couldn't beat Campbell, and then Marner hits the empty net at 19:37. He fought through 3 members of the Predators to do it. For an empty net goal, it was impressive. And so the Leafs win this one 3-0. 11-5-1 is their record. Nashville drops to 9-6-1. An impressive victory for Toronto. Your 3 stars, Campbell, Matthews and Riley. The shots 13-8 for Toronto in the first, 12-8 Toronto in the second, 9-8 Toronto in the third. Final shots 34-24 for the Leafs. Power plays, Nashville 0 for 1, Toronto 1 for 4. The hits 31-22 in favor of the Nashville Predators. Saros saves 31 out of 33. Campbell saves all 24 for his 7th career shutout. So yeah, Jack Campbell continues to be a very good positive story for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Next up, the Islanders and Florida. So I'd like to thank Florida because there were so many games on at the same time. There's a game that I have to say, well, I can't follow this. So thankfully that that was something that Florida helped me with here by blowing the doors off of a team that really looks like it's the last game of a 13-game road trip. So for the Islanders, it's a rough ending. It was a rough finish to this road trip. Sorokin versus Bobrovsky. Gudas was shot blocking early. I think he had 3 shot blocks in the first 5 or 6 minutes. The Islanders get a power play. It is unsuccessful. It was also the only power play they had in the game. Huberdeau would score from Duclair and Barkov at 6:58. Zizekas then tries to answer. The shots were 9-5 for the Panthers at the half. There were 8 shot blocks for the Panthers 11 minutes into this game, to only 1 for the Islanders. Panthers press with 6 minutes left, and Lomberg scores his first of the year from Montour and Hornquist at 14:40. Nelson would try to answer, however, at 16:04, Florida makes it 3-0. It's for Hagee from Bennett and Montour. So Montour with a couple of helpers. And then Hornquist scores one at 18:13, and he gets creative. He puts it in off Sorokin's mask. So it's 4-0 Florida after 1. Second period, Mayfield with a knee. He gets 5 in a game for that. Barkov was hurt on the play. He did not return to the game. So while Florida with a nice big result, Barkov getting hurt's bad news. The Islanders did kill that off. The shots are 4-2 for the Panthers with 9 minutes left. Ekblad would score from Uyghur at 13:41, and then the shutout's broken in the second period. It's Palmieri with his first of the season from Bellows and Dobson at 15 minutes. Panthers would get a late power play. It was unsuccessful. We go to the third period with the score 5-1. Shots are 3-1 for the Panthers, or for the Islanders at 5 minutes. Panthers really weren't giving the Islanders any hope in this. The Islanders, I put up here, likely glad the road trip is over. And then Vetrano makes it 6-1 from Tippett at 16:36. And in the last minute, the Panthers get a power play. So they win 6-1, do those Panthers. They go to 11-2-3 on the season. The Islanders 5-6-2. They won 5 games on that 13-game road trip. It started out rough, and it ends rough. Your 3 stars, Hornquist, Verhaeghe, and Bobrovsky. The shots, 17-12 Florida in the first, 12-9 Florida in the second, 7 apiece in the third as Florida shuts it down. Final shots, 36-28 for the Panthers. Power plays, Islanders 0 for 1. Florida 0 for 4. The hits, 42-26 for the Islanders. Sorokin saves 13 out of 17. Varlamov saved 17 out of 19. It really matter who's in the net. Bobrovsky saves 27 out of 28 at the other end. And he's off to a very good start this season, which I think people are starting to pay attention to, just how well Bobrovsky's playing. But yeah, so big win for the Florida Panthers. Next up, the Rangers. The Rangers and the Canadiens in a game that was, well, you know, for Montreal, I feel bad. I kind of felt bad for Caden Primo in this one, too. It's Primo versus Shesterkin, and we know how good Shesterkin is. The Rangers, chances, Primo makes saves. The shots were 6-5 in favor of Montreal at 5 minutes, so they started off very well. Then there was nearly a goal for the Rangers at 6 minutes. Petrie denies Kakko on a wraparound try. The Habs get a power play. It becomes a 4-on-4. Kreider had a rush chance. That was denied. Everything gets killed off. The Habs hang on when there's a short power play for the Rangers. Kakko, though, scores from Panarin and Strome at 15:46. So Kakko is officially on a goal-scoring streak. It's 2 games in a row. And that was after Panarin was denied. So tough break there for Caden Primo. Second period early, Dvorak answers from Gallagher and Kulak at 2:17. Reeves then had a fight with Pezzetta. So it's a fight there for Pezzetta's score sheet. Kreider then scores from Zibanejad at 3:50 to give the Rangers back the lead. So the Rangers never trail in this game. The Rangers then press for another. The Habs would get a power play. That was a no. Fox blocks a shot from Sherratt there. Nice blast by Sherratt, and Fox makes the block there. Sherratt's gotten off to a very good start offensively this year. It's one of those oddities that takes place once in a while. Post then for Anderson, and then the puck goes the other way, and Strome was denied. So Josh Anderson so close to getting a goal there. And in the last minute, the Habs did press. third period, early, Gauthier forces a turnover, and at 1:56, on a one-man wrecking crew out there, he scores. So that makes it 3-1. But to the credit of the Montreal Canadiens, they don't go away. 22 seconds later, Josh Anderson answers from Dvorak and Weidman makes it 3-2. The Rangers tried to answer. There was a press by the Habs at the half. Igor makes his saves there as needed. The Rangers get a power play. That was a no. Primo saves a rush chance for Keandre Miller. Gallagher then with a sucker punch. I think was not on. I want to say it was on Kreider, but I don't think. No, it wasn't on Kreider. It was on. I'll think of it after this review. But he did. He sucker punches a player, and it's just frustration from Gallagher. That's all it is. Not really much else to say with it. Just he's tired and frustrated with how things are going. Montreal loses this one 3-2. They drop to 4-12-2. They've won 4 of their first 18 games. We're almost to the quarter mark for the season. The Rangers 10-3-3 continue their solid performance early in the season. Your 3 stars are Kakko, Shesterkin, and Dvorak. Your shots 17-12 Rangers in the first, 9 apiece in the second, 12-8 Montreal in the third, and overall the shots are 34-33 for the Rangers. The overtime's over here. Power plays 0-2 for Montreal, 0-3 for the Rangers. The hits 27-23 for Montreal. Primo saves 31 out of 34. He played well, but he's against Shesterkin, who saved 31 out of 33. That's kind of your difference there. Montreal plays a good game, and they lose. And this has been the storyline this year. They're not winning enough. All right, next up, Calgary. The Flames go in against Philadelphia tonight. For Calgary, this is becoming a trend. It's a worrying trend. Calgary and Washington are kind of in the same position here. They're not losing a lot in regulation, but they're not winning enough games either. So, yeah, Markstrom versus Hart was your matchup. Flames were physical early. Zadorov with a turnover. The Flames did recover. Hart saves a Lindholm chance. The Flames were cycling. The Flyers did kill off that power play. There was some momentum that goes to the Flyers after that penalty kill was done. Things get scrummy behind the Flyers net. Gaudreau had a shot saved. Hart, pretty darn good in this game. Again, Flames had momentum back at the half, and they score. Shillington opens the scoring from Gaudreau and Lindholm at 10:31. The Flyers then get a power play. That's unsuccessful. There's another late power play for the Flyers. So that's killed off. And in the second period, there's an early power play for the Flames. That was killed off by the Flyers. Lawton out of the box. He draws himself a penalty shot. So they kill the penalty. Lawton takes the pass out of the box, and he ends up drawing a penalty shot. Markstrom saved the penalty shot with a 2-pad stack. The old-fashioned 2-pad stack. You always like to see that, right? So things get scrummy after a Hart save shortly after that. The fans wanted a call, but while they were complaining they wanted a call, Kevin Hayes scores, so it would have been a delayed penalty and would have scored, right? Ristolainen with the assist at 4:37. Gaudreau tries to answer. Good glove save on that one from Hart. There was 2 minutes of 4-on-4 after more unfriendliness, usually with Matthew Tkachuk in the middle of it. That's a surprise, right? The Flyers then get a power play. It's unsuccessful. We go to the third period. Good start for the Flyers. Giroux nearly buries one. The Flyers press. Markstrom saves. Keep in mind, it's a 1-1 tie at this point, so anybody's game. Tkachuk draws a crowd at the Philly net, and he did it every single stoppage at the Philly net, it seemed. It seemed like maybe even if he's not on the ice, just to, come on, there's a scrum. Get me on the ice. Not a lot of room for either team in that third period. Both teams trying to preserve that point. Flames nearly sprung Pitlick late there, and more Tkachuk disturbances as we get down to the end of that period. The Flyers did a very good job, though, of boxing out the Flames. So while they had opportunities at the net, they weren't very many. Not a lot of shots got through, and just a really solid defensive effort. So in the overtime, the Flames controlled off the faceoff, but not for long. The Flyers get a 2-on-1 right after a turnover, and they score. It's Atkinson from Couturier and Provorov at 45 seconds. So 45 seconds into this, the Flyers end it. They go to 8-4-2 with the 2-1 victory. The Flames drop to 8-3-5. So again, they've only lost 3 in regulation in their first 16. However, they've only won 8 of their first 16. So 3 stars, Hayes, Hart, and Gaudreau. Your shots, 12-11 Calgary in the first, 17-16 Calgary in the second, and then 14-5 Philly in the third. And they had both shots in the overtime. The final shots, 43-34 for Philly. Power plays, Calgary goes 0 for 2. Philly went 0 for 6. Hits 24-23 for Calgary. Markstrom saves 41 out of 43. Hart saves 33 out of 34. Pretty solid game all around. All right, let's go ahead and change boards. All right, next up, Buffalo and Pittsburgh. So this is the problem I had tonight. So I'm wearing my Jake Ottinger jersey, and we'll get to that and why I chose this one. But I could have picked Buffalo. I could have picked Arizona, San Jose, Winnipeg. A lot of good opportunities tonight. So let's go through this board and discuss this. It's Tokarski versus Jarry. Where did this Dustin Tokarski come from? He's fantastic. Rodriguez had a chance that was saved. Shots are 4-3 Sabres at 7 minutes. Zucker was down. Looked like the puck had hit him. It hit him in the leg. He skates off. He's okay. Pens get a power play. They were 0 for their last 25. They would get out of that 0 for tonight, but it's still not a great power play. Tokarski denies Rodriguez. Kapanen fires one high. It's killed off. The Sabres press with 5.5 minutes left, but it's scoreless coming out of the first period. And if you're Buffalo, you're fine with that because Pittsburgh kind of outplayed them in that period. Second period, 28 seconds. Colin Miller scores from Kajula and Cousins. Penguins then press at 3.5 minutes. Sabres get a power play. There was a good shorthanded chance for Rodriguez there, but it's killed off. And then Okposo, who continues the really good start he's had, he scores at 8:54. Then there's some chatting at the Buffalo net after a save. Not necessarily friendly chatting between the teams. Gensel had a chance that deflects up and out. The Penguins get a power play. Carter had a wraparound. That was saved. Penguins get another late power play. It becomes a 4-on-4. Third period, the Sabres get a power play. That was a no. And then the Penguins get their fourth power play. And finally, they get a goal. It's Gensel from Rust and Crosby at 5:59. So that's Crosby's first point of the season. And that makes it 2-1. Carter had a rush chance that was saved. And all the momentum at this stage is with the Penguins. And it is a miracle, if you're a Sabres fan watching this, that they didn't blow it. The Sabres get a power play. The shots were 15-1 for the Penguins with 6 minutes left. So that power play was not successful. And yeah, the Penguins, it was a shooting gallery out there. The Sabres get a power play in the final 2 minutes. The goaltender gets pulled to make it a 5-on-5. The Penguins call a timeout with 27.9 seconds left. Buffalo holds on. They win this one 2-1 regulation, so they go to 7-6-2 on the season. Pittsburgh drops to 5-6-4. They've won 5 of their first 15. Pittsburgh is officially in trouble, and we'll see how far this goes and whether or not they can turn it around. But as tough as the Metro is, it definitely looks like Pittsburgh's digging themselves into a pretty big hole here. Your 3 stars are Tokarski, Miller, and Gensel. The shots 14-10 Pittsburgh in the first, 12-6 Pittsburgh in the second, 20-3 in the third in favor of Pittsburgh. Final shots 46-19. So everybody in a Buffalo jersey gets to buy a dinner for Tokarski. He's not paying for anything the rest of the season. Power plays 0 for 5 for Buffalo, 1 for 4 for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh also out-hit Buffalo 31-26. So they outshot them by more than 2-1 and out-hit them. Tokarski saves 45 out of 46 at one end. Jarry saves 17 out of 19 at the other. He has to be wondering, I had a decent game. I really wish they'd gotten more goals in past Tokarski. Tokarski's becoming quite the story. Next up, speaking of quite the story, I will admit, it's tough that I'm not wearing an Arizona jersey. It's tough because I decided during the Dallas game, all right, so I have to, and I'll explain why. I will explain why, but wow, Arizona played the best game they've played all season. And yet, the third period, if you're an Arizona fan, kind of looked like other periods they've played, and yet, different outcome. So it's Wedgwood versus Binnington. Wedgwood's played really well, so I would expect him to either go on waivers or get traded, although they're not in any danger of moving out of last place yet. So yeah, the Blues get a power play. That was a no. The shots are 3-2 for the Blues at 5 minutes. Keller couldn't elevate one. The Coyotes get a power play. They score on it. Coyotes power play normally anemic. Tonight, not so much. Capo Bianco scores from Krause and Galchenyuk at 7 minutes and 37 seconds. Blues get a power play. Wedgwood saves. The Blues are now 0 for 2 on the power play. The shots are 8-7 for the Coyotes with 8 minutes left. I've tracked through how many games on Coyotes not getting shots. And what's weird is, with all the games going on tonight, I thought maybe I won't bother watching the Arizona game because we know what happens. And I thought, no, No. I should watch that. I don't know why, but I did. So I was tracking that. It was the Florida Islander game that I dropped there. So, yeah, Bortuzzo had a shot that was saved. Good road period for Arizona. Kyrou with a break, near miss there, but then Kyrou doesn't miss on the next one. He scores from O'Reilly and Buchnevich at 17:57. So it's 1-1 after one, and again, you're expecting, well, the Coyotes are bad in the second period. Not tonight. Early press by the Coyotes. Louis couldn't hit an empty net. Canuck fans can say, yeah. Perunovich's parents were then interviewed, which, again, at least they did it in between the plays. Shots were 3-2 for the Coyotes at the half, and then Barrett Hayden scores at 11:35. Yeah. So the Coyotes, again, still playing a really good road period. Then the Blues get a power play. That was a no. We then get 2 minutes of 4-on-4, and during that 4-on-4, the Blues might have had their best opportunities of the night. Krug would score from O'Reilly at 14:58 to give the Blues a 2-2 tie after 2 periods. Third period, early saves by Wedgwood. The shots were 3-0 Blues at 6 minutes. That's the Coyotes we know. They're not generating opportunities. Kyrou nearly gets one in on a break. The Coyotes would press at 7 minutes. Krause had a chance that was saved. Buchnevich then had an opportunity that was defended before it got to the net. Coyotes then get a power play. It scores again. It's Barrett Hayden from Gostisbehere and Kessel at 13:52. So it is 3-2 in favor of the Arizona Coyotes. And there's less than 6 minutes left, or there's like a little over 6 minutes left in the game. Parayko had a shot that was saved. They pull the goaltender with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. The Blues call a timeout with exactly 24 seconds left, and they can't tie it. So with this win, now the Coyotes are on pace for 10 wins this year. So that would get them clear of the Capitals. They're 2-13-1. And for the Blues, 8-5-2. And for people who say, well, what does that do to the power rankings? Oh, that drops St. Louis a lot. It does. The 3 stars, Hayden, O'Reilly, and Kessel. Shots 14-11 St. Louis in the first, 9 apiece in the second. 13-3 St. Louis in the third. Final shots 36-23 St. Louis. Power plays, Arizona 2 for 2, St. Louis 0 for 3. Hits 14-7 in favor of Arizona. Wedgwood 34 saves on 36 shots. Bennington 20 saves on 23 shots. What does Wedgwood have to do to get a start in this game? He's the goaltender that's had both of their wins. He's probably like, I don't know what the big deal is. I can get you guys wins. Easy peasy. All done. Let me turn that a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm already done that game anyways. I'm sure there'll be complaints in the comments and all that. So, anyways. Moving along. San Jose. The Sharks. A team that looked like they were, fading out a little bit. Not so much. It was Reimer versus Talbot. Early chances for the Wild. Green Bay. Yeah, so the Packers showed up tonight. So Greenway was physical after a Reimer save. And they speculated that maybe the coach had, really called him out. And, there's all this stuff in the press. Maybe he might have been a little too much. Greenway gets in a fight with Middleton. Ferraro would score shortly thereafter from Couture and Meyer at 5:55. The Wild then guilty of a turnover. Dahlin couldn't bury one. Dumba had a chance on a rush that was saved. Reimer then robs Fiala. Shortly after that, Sturm with an opportunity that was saved as well. And then Meyer makes it 2-0 at 19:17. It is that last-minute goal, right? Pitlick versus Cogliano leads to a Sharks power play. How does that happen when it's a versus? Well, because Cogliano didn't throw a punch. It was just Rem Pitlick deciding, I think I'm going to beat up Andrew Cogliano. And that's it. That's what happened. So he got the penalty. Didn't get a fighting major either. So, again, it's that how many punches is a fight? So we go to the second period with a 2-0 San Jose, and you could see Minnesota was getting frustrated. The Wild would finish off the kill to start that period. There was momentum to the Wild after that. A pass to Kaprizov was blocked. Talbot mishandles one, but then he saves shortly thereafter. Eriksson Ek would score from Fiala and Brodin at 5:25. So that makes it 2-1. There's then a scrum after a hit by Dumba that San Jose didn't like. The Wild come out of that with a power play. We then get 121 of 4-on-4 action because that's what happens when another penalty takes place. And Erik Karlsson would score from Middleton and Balcers at 9 minutes and 32 seconds. So Erik Karlsson on the board. Couture then couldn't bury one on the power play. That's killed off. Foligno versus Gadjevich was another fight that took place. And we go into the third with the score 3-1 San Jose. The Wild would press early, but just before the halfway mark, Tomas Hertl puts this out of reach from Barabanov and Balcers at 9:25. Rudolph's, Balcers, 2 assists for him. Get your Balsers jersey. So the Sharks were puck pressuring as well to protect the lead. So every time Minnesota had it, they were on the puck. No easy pucks for Minnesota in that second half. The Wild get a power play. That was a no. They pulled the goaltender with around 4 minutes left. Didn't matter. The 4-1 victory takes place. San Jose wins this one. They go to 8-6-1 on the season. Minnesota drops to 10-5. 3 stars are Meyer, Couture, and Reimer. So all 3 stars are from San Jose, and rightfully so. Shots 9-7 San Jose in the first, 13-8 Minnesota in the second, 7-4 Minnesota in the third. Like I said, they didn't have any easy pucks. Final shots 27-21 Minnesota. Power plays 0 for 3 for San Jose, 0 for 2 for Minnesota. Hits 18-13 Minnesota. Reimer saves 26 out of 27 at one end, and Talbot probably needed to be better tonight. 17 saves on 21 shots. And so for Minnesota, we'll see how things go from here. But this is a little bit troubling if you're a Wild fan, because the comeback didn't happen, and the momentum swing never really happened in this game, and it was a win for San Jose on the road. And again, for San Jose, kind of a big win on the road. All right, next up. Oilers. The Oilers go in against the Jets. This was a big game for Winnipeg. These teams will meet again in Edmonton a couple days, and I can't wait. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's Koskinen versus Hellebuck tonight. I would expect the same goaltenders again in 2 days. Lowry scores at 2 minutes and 9 seconds. So that's 6 games in a row where the Oilers have allowed the first goal. That's a troubling trend. That's one that it's going to start to bite them, and maybe it already has. Dubois nearly makes it 2-0. The shots were 9-3 for the Jets at 9 minutes. Pierre-Luc Dubois has had an amazing run. I'm going to do a video soon on players that have had bounce-back seasons and breakthrough seasons, and I know I'm going to talk about Dubois because he's looking like the player that Columbus drafted years back, right? This is what they'd envision. Chances for the Oilers in the final seconds, and that's how the Oilers work. The Oilers are so dangerous. You can never say, well, this is it, the game's done. So second period, early power play for the Jets. Good cycle on it. However, the Oilers kill it off. We then get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Not 2 minutes, 20 seconds of 4-on-4. So the minute and 40 seconds of Jets penalty is killed off. Then we go to 20 seconds of 4-on-4. Then the Oilers get the power play after that. Everything gets killed off. The Oilers power play had 2 shots. Don't worry, it still ends up 50% on the night. Ehlers would score from Kopp at 6:59 to make it 2-0. The Jets then get a 4-minute power play. The first 2-minute power play is killed off. The second one they score on, and it's Dubois with the power play goal from Morrissey and Schmidt at 10:01. So 1 second past the halfway mark of the game, it's 3-0 for the Jets. And I'm still watching this and thinking, it's the Oilers, though. They can score 4. They score 4 on average. They can score 5. They can score 6. And so the Oilers then get a power play. There was a shorthanded chance for Kopp, and it was killed off. So at this point, the Oilers are 0 for 2 on the power play. DeMello robbed Nugent-Hopkins of a goal. So Nugent-Hopkins could have had a goal-scoring streak. DeMello said no. And then Scheifele scores in 1922. So Scheifele does have a goal-scoring streak. Now that he's got that monkey off his back, we should start seeing more goals and points from Scheifele. Third period, early power play for the Oilers. It becomes a 5-on-3. You cannot give the Oilers a 5-on-3. And Draisaitl gets a goal from McDavid and Nurse at 2 minutes and 32 seconds. The Oilers then press with the 5-on-4. The Oilers score, but is it goalie interference? And the call was no goal. Well, the challenge is made by Dave Tippett, and it works. Counts. Power play goal, Draisaitl again, from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and McDavid at 3:48. So with those 2 goals, all of a sudden, the game is 4-2, and you never count the Oilers out. They have this explosive offense, right? So Kopp fires a rush chance high. Puljujarvi had a shot that was saved. Then there's a high hit by McDavid. The Jets get a power play. McDavid protested a lot, but it was a penalty. They called it a roughing penalty on that. The Oilers killed it off. Puljujarvi was denied as well. And then they pull the goalie. So that allows Kyle Connor to hit the empty net from Wheeler at 18:23. And so the Jets win this one 5-2. They go to 9-3-3 on the season. The Oilers drop to 11-4. And again, for Winnipeg, a very good result against a very good team out of Edmonton. Edmonton has to start scoring first, and maybe with that first game home against Winnipeg on Thursday, they'll have the drive and motivation in order to score first. after tonight's result. 3 stars, Dubois, Hellebuck, and Morrissey. The shots, 12-9 Winnipeg in the first, 14-11 Winnipeg in the second, 14-9 Edmonton in the third. Final shots, 35-34 Winnipeg. Power plays, 2 for 4 for Edmonton, 1 for 4 for Winnipeg. The hits, 25-14 for Winnipeg. Koskinen, 22 saves on 26 shots. Skinner went in and saved all 8 shots when he was in there. And Hellebuck saves 32 out of 34. Again, I figure it's going to be Koskinen and Hellebuck in the rematch, but we shall see. That being said, last change of boards. Next up, Detroit and Dallas. So, it's Nedeljkovic versus Oettinger. I'm wearing an Oettinger jersey because this is the first game he's played. Might be the only game he plays this year. And I've been a vocal supporter of Oettinger since he made his debut for the team. I've liked the goaltender. I still don't understand. I mean, Holtby's been very good. I still don't understand why Oettinger got sent to the AHL after what was a pretty solid first year last year. The shots are 5-2 at 5 minutes for Dallas. The Wings came out flat to start this game. The refs reviewed, did the Stars score? No. And it was pretty obvious the Stars didn't score. I'm not sure why they reviewed it. Hronik defends a Gurianov shot. The Stars get a power play. That was a no. The Wings were stuck on 2 shots for a while. And then Ryan Suter scores from Fox and Robertson at 13:33. That makes it 1-0 for Dallas. Second period. Dallas goes on what has to be considered a flurry of goals. It's Ben from Heiskanen at 1:06. So that makes it 2-0. The shots were 3 apiece at 7 minutes. Detroit gets off to a better start in the second than they did in the first, but Hintz scores from Lindell at 7:24. And then Detroit calls a timeout. And it was a smart move. As soon as they called the timeout, it definitely changed the feeling of this game. Zadina scores from Gagne and Stahl at 9:09. So that makes the game 2-1. The next opportunity for Detroit is saved by Oettinger. And the Wings have some momentum now. So this is the Wings seeing that there's an opening there. There's a power play for the Wings. Dylan Larkin would score from Seider and Raymond at 14:39. And then the Stars press with 1.5 minutes left. Third period, Larkin's not in the game. What we didn't find out was that due to protocols, he got pulled out of the game between the second and the third. We'll see, right? So that's troubling because if protocols were going to be invoked, they should have been invoked before the game. Don't like it during the game. Early press by the Wings in the third. However, Robertson would score to increase the lead to 2 once again from Pavelski and Hakanpää at 3:48. And then the Stars press for another. Pavelski blocks a Pia shooter shot. The Wings pressed with 6 minutes left. The Stars pressed with 3 minutes left. They weren't getting nearly as many shots as Detroit in the third period, but the good news was Oettinger was really quite good against the Detroit shots in that third period. Goaltender gets pulled with 2:40 left. Robertson misses the empty net, and then he hits the post on the empty net. So there's that. Everyone loves Moritz Seider. Every game now, it's interesting because I like to watch different feeds. And every announced team will come out of a game loving Moritz Seider. Tonight was ESPN Plus. And yeah, Seider is a fantastic player. He does a little bit of everything. He's got the offense, he's got the defense, he's got the physicality. He's a really, really solid all-around defenseman. So Dallas would get the empty netter. It's Robertson from the other end of the ice. So apparently if he's right next to the net, it's harder to hit them from the other end of the ice. Glendening won a face-off, and Robertson puts it in the net at 18:23. And again, Larkin doesn't come back and play in the third. So, Detroit with that 5-2 loss, they drop to 8-8-2. Dallas with the victory goes to 6-6-2. Your 3 stars are Hintz, Ryan Suter, and Jake Oettinger. Shots 12-4 Dallas in the first, 12-11 Dallas in the second, 15-6 Detroit in the third. Both teams had 30 shots in this game. Detroit goes 1 for 1 on the power play. Dallas goes 0 for 1. The hits were 15-14 for Detroit. Nedeljkovic, 25 saves on 29 shots. Rough night for him. Oettinger saves 28 out of 30. Pretty good night for him. And again, I watched it and I was like, well, if Oettinger wins, I'll wear my Oettinger jersey. And there's other games that I'm like, man, because, right, Anaheim. But again, we'll talk about that when we get to that game, right? All right, next up, Carolina. Carolina's had a couple of rough games over the last couple of weeks, and yet I still think they're the best team in the league. And I think tonight's game shows that, yeah, they're probably still the best team in the league. Ronta versus Leonard. Early save and poke check by Leonard. The first 4 shots were all Kane shots. A little bit past the midway mark, they get on the board. It's D'Angelo from Nachas and Trocheck at 11:07. They talked a lot, because I was watching the Carolina feed for this. They talked a lot about D'Angelo during this game. He fits in very, very well. And you can see that he gets along with his teammates. You can see that he's buying into whatever Brind'Amour is selling. And it's a much better fit than it was with the New York Rangers. And maybe having a year where he wasn't in the National Hockey League, maybe gave him a different perspective. But either way, to this point in the season, other than him getting fined for diving, there really hasn't been anything controversial with D'Angelo. And he was one of my favorite defensemen as a hockey player before last season came around. So in the last minute, Aho scores from Teravainen and Svechnikov at 19:03, and that's a power play marker, and that makes it 2-0. So pretty quiet building in Vegas. Second period, Slavin with a net drive. That was defended. And then Brett Howden scores his second of the season from Hutton and Coughlin at 2:53. Fast break goal. The crowd was awake. I thought it was funny, too, the Carolina announcer saying, it's not usually this quiet in the Fortress. And I thought, it is when they're losing. That building gets so quiet when Vegas is not winning the game. It is crazy how and it can switch just so fast from dead quiet to thunderous roar from the crowd. And that thunderous roar happened when they tied it. Theodore scores from Stone and Stevenson at 4:12, and then Vegas presses for another. So all of the momentum is with them. Leonard then saves a chance from Cole, and it feels like a new game. The fans booed an icing call, which I thought was substantial because booed the icing call. DeBoer didn't like it either, though. He didn't think that should have been an icing call. But you could see the fans are really into it. It's the kind of thing that when they were down 2-0, I don't think they would have said anything. So that's the difference. Canes were settling the game down, though. Too many Canes on the ice. Vegas gets a power play. Shorthanded chance for Aho after Aranta saves. The Canes kill it and allowed 3 shots. Ranta then denies Janmark. Back and forth action. Lawrence was denied. Kotkaniemi had a shot that was saved. And then the Canes are really pushing at this point, too. The Canes press with 3.5 minutes left. Leonard with a save. Leonard denies Shea as well. And as the period ends, you could see Carolina was building it back up again. So Vegas gets those goals. They had some opportunities, but then Carolina starts really putting on the show. Third period, early on, Seth Jarvis gets his second NHL goal from Bear and Aho at 1:11. Nachas then had a rush chance that goes wide. Haig had a chance that was saved at the other end. Bear's shot was blocked, but the Canes would press. The Canes get a power play. D'Angelo had a shot that deflects wide, and that power play was killed off. Ranta denies Stone. Theodore gets injured, and it doesn't look good. I haven't seen an update on it yet, but if Shea Theodore is out for any period of time, that really hurts Vegas. Just as they're starting to get healthy again, Stone's been back in the lineup, and now, if they're without Theodore, that's a lot of minutes that other guys have to eat up. Slavin led a 2-on-1, and Leonard makes the save there. Slavin a couple of times tonight with big offensive opportunities. I don't know that Jacob Slavin understands that he's a defensive defenseman. Like, maybe just for tonight he didn't understand he's a defensive defenseman, but, there we are. Trocheck would score from Teravainen and Nachas at 13:41. Haig had a shot that was saved and held onto. Goalie gets pulled by Vegas. Dodonov was cut with Aho's stick. There was no call, and here's why. So I'm sure there's Vegas fans that may not realize why. It was a follow-through. So while it cut Dodonov, and they had to actually, come out and clean up the ice, it's a follow-through. So if you follow through and you cut somebody with a stick, it's not a penalty. Ranta then stops the Stone chance, and Carolina holds on, wins this one 4-2. They go to 12-2 on the season. Vegas drops to 9-7 with the loss. Your 3 stars are Aho, Ranta, and Leonard. Shots, 15-7 Carolina in the first, 19-9 Carolina in the second, 8-7 Carolina in the third. Final shots, 42-23 Carolina. Power plays 1 for 2 for the Canes, 0 for 1 for Vegas. The hits, 28-20 for Carolina. Ranta saves 21 out of 23. Leonard saves 38 out of 42. And yeah, pretty good night for both goaltenders. All right, moving on. Last game of the night. And this was a thrilling game too, and I would not have expected this before the season started. The Anaheim Ducks are a lot of fun to watch now. They really are. Vanacek versus Gibson. The first chances are to the Ducks, and they score. And this is a big point. Fowler scores from Getzlaf and Terry at 3:32. Terry's point streak continues, and for Ryan Getzlaf, that is point number 1,000. So he's the first Duck to ever score 1,000 points, all of them as an Anaheim Duck. Shots are 4-4 with 8 minutes left. Trevor Van Riemsdyk had a shot that went straight up off Gibson, and he sort of backed off, and it landed next to him. But that was one of those scary ones where it goes straight up, and you're thinking, now if he stays where he is, it's probably going to bounce off his back and go in the net. Vanacek then mishandled one, but it's cleared. So he gets it caught in his feet, but it was cleared out. So second period, the ref gets hit with the puck. He was okay. He got his hands up on the play. Early saves by Vanacek. Ovi fires a sure goal wide. Kuznetsov went into beast mode. That was defended. So he was bringing it across the front of the net, going through multiple players, but that was defended. Ducks get a power play. McTavish tips one wide. The Caps did kill it off. The Ducks were limiting the chances for the Caps, and this was obvious throughout the second period that really Washington wasn't getting much to look at. The Ducks' offensive zone time was also very heavily in favor of them. So really it's that simplistic hockey thing, right? You keep the puck at their end, you limit their chances, you're probably going to win the game. Terry then had a break. Vanacek makes the save, and on McTavish as well. Van Riemsdyk then can't elevate one in the final minute, so Trevor Van Riemsdyk was on the board a couple of times tonight, just can't quite get there. So third period, they mentioned that there was like 3 really good scoring chances for the Caps in the first 2 periods. 3. So that's a fantastic defensive effort by Anaheim to this point. Sherry then had a rush chance that was saved. There was some back and forth action at 4 minutes, and eventually Pilon scores his first NHL goal from Fir Avenue and Carlson at 5:36. I have to say, Fir Avenue has developed quickly. He's turning into a pretty darn good defenseman right before our eyes. There were no shots for the Ducks at 6 minutes. So I understand you want to sit back and protect a lead. That's crazy. And now it was a 1-1 tie, so it's not a lead anymore. The momentum was with the Caps after the goal. Fir Avenue crashed into the boards. It looked bad, but he did come back to the game. Hitting picks up at the halfway mark. And at the exact halfway mark, Zegras scores from Milano at 10 minutes. So maybe some of that hitting helped. So it was a nice fast break goal. Nice pass by Milano, who I believe now has 9 points in 12 games since being called up. That's not bad. And yeah, Zegras, he is getting hot at the exact right time. Wilson was trying to go Delorier into a fight. Delorier wasn't having any of it. He was like, no. So he was hooking at him and, give him a little shot here and there. And yeah, it just wasn't happening. The Caps pressed with 4 minutes left. Fir Avenue was out there late. Wilson, it looked like he scores, and then there was the debate about whether or not it was a high stick. They called it a goal on the ice. There was nothing there to overturn it. There was nothing there to say that stick was definitively high. Although, was it? If it was barely high. So it counts. Wilson with the goal from Carlson and Fir Avenue at 17:28. That forces overtime. So remember, for the Ducks, this is a winning streak that's on the line. It's an important win if they get it. All that wonderful stuff. Caps control on the faceoff. Lindstrom had a chance that was saved. The Caps controlled on the following faceoff. Carlson forces a Terry turnover. And then Zegras would end up getting a goal to win it from Lindholm and Henrique at 4 minutes and 14 seconds. So with that goal, that's 8 wins in a row for the Ducks. That is also the 1,000th win in the history of this team. So yeah, regular season victories. That's win number 1,000 for the Ducks. Congratulations to them. I will admit I pumped my fist when I saw Zegras score that, because that was a nice goal. 3 stars, Getzlaf, Zegras, and Wilson. And not because I thought this is going to go to a shootout. It's going to take another 20 minutes. Not at all. So the shots were 11-8 Anaheim in the first, 11-6 Anaheim in the second, and then Washington definitely picked it up in the third. They outshot them 14-7. Both teams had 2 shots in the overtime. The overall shot totals 31-30 for Anaheim, who go to 10-4-3. It's a very solid record. And for the Caps, they dropped to 9-2-5. Again, it's the same as Calgary, right? They're not losing in regulation, but they're not winning either. So your shots favored Anaheim barely. The power plays, Washington didn't have one. Anaheim had one, didn't score on it. Your hits are 23-22 for Anaheim. Vanacek saves 28 out of 31. Gibson saves 28 out of 30. Yeah, it was a pretty fun night of hockey. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.